Alright class, welcome! Today, we're diving deep into the heart of your computer, the central nervous system of your entire setup, the motherboard. Now, I know it can look a bit intimidating at first, like a complex city map with all its circuits and components. But trust me, by the end of our session, you'll be navigating it like a pro. Think of the motherboard as the main hub that connects everything. The processor, your memory, your graphics card, and all your peripherals. They all plug in here and talk to each other through this amazing piece of engineering. So, grab your notebooks, and let's demystify this tech marvel together. First up, let's talk about the most visible and accessible parts, the I/O panel. That's input-output. This is the section you see on the back of your computer tower, and it's where you plug in most of your external devices. Let's start with the most common one, the USB port. USB stands for Universal Serial Bus, and it truly is universal. You use it for your mouse, your keyboard, your printer, your external hard drive, your phone charger, ... The list goes on. You'll see different types, like the classic rectangular USB-A and the newer, smaller, reversible USB-C, which is becoming the new standard for its speed and versatility. You'll also notice some are blue and some are black. The blue ones are typically USB 3.0 or higher, offering much faster data transfer speeds than the older black USB 2.0 ports. So if you're transferring large files, always go for the blue. Next to the USB ports, you'll almost always find the display ports. These are crucial for getting an image from your computer to your monitor. The most common one today is the HDMI port, which stands for High Definition Multimedia Interface. It carries both high-quality video and audio signals through a single cable, which is super convenient for connecting to monitors, TVs, and projectors. You might also see a DisplayPort. It looks a bit like an HDMI port, but with one flat edge. DisplayPort is often preferred by gamers and professionals for its ability to support higher refresh rates and multiple monitors from a single port, a feature called Daisy. On older motherboards, you might still find the blue VGA port or the white DVI port, but these are becoming less common as digital standards, like HDMI and DisplayPort take over. Now, let's talk about connectivity. That rectangular port with a little clip is your Ethernet port, also known as an RJ45 jack. This is where you plug in your network cable for a wired internet connection. While Wi-Fi is great for convenience, a wired connection through the Ethernet port is almost always faster, more stable, and more secure. It's the top choice for online gaming, streaming 4K video, or any task where a rock-solid connection is non-negotiable. And right beside it, you'll typically find a set of small, color-coded audio jacks. These are for your sound system. The green one is for your speakers or headphones, line out. The pink one is for your microphone mic in, and the blue one is for connecting an external audio source line in. Some motherboards simplify this with just a couple of jacks, but the color coding is a pretty standard guide, too. Okay, let's move from the outside in and look at the slots on the board itself. These are where you install the internal components that give your computer its power. The most prominent are these long, slender slots, usually in pairs of 2 or 4. These are your RAM slots, or DIMM slots. RAM stands for Random Access Memory, and it's your computer's short-term memory. It's where your PC temporarily stores data for the applications you're currently running. The more RAM you have, the more things your computer can do at once without slowing down. Installing RAM is pretty straightforward. You just open the clips on the sides, align the notch on the memory stick with the notch in the slot, and press down firmly until the clips snap into place. Most modern motherboards use DDR4 or the newer DDR5 RAM, and it's crucial to use the type of RAM your motherboard is designed for. Now, for the big ones, these longer slots here are the PCIe slots, which stands for Peripheral Component Interconnect Express. This is where you plug in expansion cards to add new functionality to your PC. The most important one is the topmost longest slot, usually a PCIe by 16 slot. This is where your graphics card goes. The graphics card, or GPU, is a specialized processor that handles all the visual output, which is essential for gaming, video editing, and any graphically intensive task. You'll also see shorter PCIe slots, like X1 or X4 slots. These are for other expansion cards, like sound cards for high-end audio, network cards for faster Wi-Fi, or capture cards for streaming. The number after the X indicates the number of data lanes the slot has. So an X16 slot is much faster than an IB1 slot, which is why it's reserved for the demanding graphics card. Let's look at a newer, much smaller type of slot that's become incredibly popular, the M2 slot. It looks like a tiny little slot, just big enough for a stick of gum. This is for installing an M2 solid-state drive, or SSD. These drives are incredibly fast, much faster than the traditional hard drives and even the older SATA SSD. Installing your operating system, like Windows, on an M2 drive will make your computer boot up in seconds and make your programs load almost instantly. They are a game changer for system responsiveness. You simply slide the M2 drive into the slot at an angle, then secure it down to the motherboard with a tiny screw. Some motherboards even come with heat shields, or heat sinks, that go over the M2 drive to keep it cool and performing at its best. We can't talk about a motherboard without mentioning the brain of the operation, the CPU socket, VS. This large square mechanism, usually right in the center of the board, is where the central processing unit, or processor, is installed. The CPU is what performs all the calculations and executes the instructions that make your computer run. There are two main manufacturers, Intel and AMD. And each uses a different socket type, so you have to make sure your motherboard and CPU are compatible. For example, you can't put an AMD processor in an Intel socket. You'll notice a lever next to the socket. You lift this lever, carefully place the CPU, making sure to align the small triangle on the corner of the CPU with the one on the socket, and then lower the lever to lock it in place. It's a delicate operation, but it's the core of your entire system. Finally, let's touch upon storage and power connections. Besides the super-fast M2 slots, you'll find these L-shaped ports along the edge of the board. These are SATA ports. SATA stands for Serial ATA, and these are used to connect your traditional 2.5-inch SSDs and your larger 3.5-inch mechanical hard drives. These are great for mass storage of your files, photos, games, and videos. You just plug one end of a SATA cable here and the other into your drive. And to make all of this work, the motherboard itself needs power. The main power comes from the power supply unit, or PSU, through this large 24-pin connector, D. There's also a smaller 4 or 8-pin connector near the CPU, which provides dedicated power to the processor. Getting these connections right is absolutely essential. So there you have it, a tour of the most important ports and slots on a motherboard. From the external I/O panel with its USB and HDMI ports to the internal RAM, PCIe and M2 slots, every part has a specific and vital role. It might seem complex, but it's all very logical. Each connection allows a different piece of the puzzle to communicate and work together, creating the powerful tool you use every day. Understanding this layout is the first major step in learning how to build, upgrade, or troubleshoot your own PC. It empowers you to make informed decisions about the components you choose and how they all fit together. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope this has helped demystify the motherboard for you. It's the foundation of every great computer, and now you know your way around it. If you found this helpful, please give this video a like, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into computer hardware. Hit that bell icon so you won't miss our next session. Keep learning, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next one.